What's new from Apple? There's the new iPhone 16 Pro, built for Apple Intelligence. And it comes with the all-new camera control, giving you an easier way to quickly access your camera tools. The new Apple Watch Series 10 has our biggest display and our thinnest design ever. And this? It's the sound of active noise cancellation, now available on one of 2 new AirPods 4 models. So quiet. Check out all of the new products and new features at apple.com. You can even buy yourself something new. See apple.com for product availability updates. Apple Intelligence coming this fall.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA.
Introducing our biggest GMC Acadia ever. Offering bigger screens, bigger views, and even bigger journeys. Live your biggest life in the all-new GMC Acadia.
Your show was better when you had medical questions. AIDS!
Can you please stop bullshitting and get to the question?
Scorn and defiance, slight regard, contempt, and anything that might not misbecome the mighty sender. Doth he prize you, and?
If you just read the bio for Dr. Steve, host of Weird Medicine on Sirius XM 103 and made popular by 2 really comedy shows, Opie and Anthony and Ron and Fez, you would have thought that this guy was a bit of, a clown.
Why can't you give me the respect that I'm entitled to?
I've got diphtheria crushing my esophagus. I've got Ebola virus dripping from my nose. I've got the leprosy of the heartbound, exacerbating my incredible woes. I want to take my brain out and blast it with the wave, an ultrasonic, echographic, and a pulsating shave. I want a magic pill for all my ailments, the health equivalent of Citizen Kane. And if I don't get it now in the tablet, I think I'm doomed and I'll have to go insane. I want a requiem for my disease, so I'm paging Dr. Steve. Dr. Steve!
From the world-famous Cardiff Electric Network Studios, from downtown Bedabbler City, it's Weird Medicine, the first and still only uncensored medical show in the history of broadcast radio, now a podcast. I'm Dr. Steve with my little pal, Dr. Scott, the traditional Chinese medicine provider, gives me street cred with the wacko alternative medicine assholes. Hello, Dr. Scott.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
And my partner in all things, Tacie. Hello, Tacie.
Hello.
This is a show for people who had never listened to a medical show on the radio or the internet. If you have a question you're embarrassed to take to your regular medical provider, if you can't find an answer anywhere else, give us a call. 347-766-4323. That's 347-POOHEAD. Follow us on Twitter at Weird Medicine or at DrScottWM. Visit our website at drsteve.com for podcasts, medical news, and stuff you can buy. Most importantly, we are not your medical providers. Take everything here with a grain of salt. Don't act on anything you hear on this show without talking over with your healthcare provider. All right, very good. Don't forget to check out stuff.drsteve.com, stuff.drsteve.com. By the way, whoever bought $20,000 in office furniture using stuff.drsteve.com, I love you. Let me know who you are.
I love you too.
And if you could just tell me like one of the things that you bought, I'll send you some merch. Just because, we'll have
awesome.
People go, oh, I'm the one that sent that to you. Anyway, we really appreciate that. It's going to help a lot for the old Christmas this year. But thank you for doing that. Stuff.drsteve.com. Check out Roadie, ROADIE.drsteve.com. This is the time when you're starting to think about the holidays, be it Hanukkah, be it Festivus, be it Kwanzaa, be it, Eid, be it...
Christmas.
Christmas. Thank you, Tacie. Give yourself a bell. Then you were looking for gifts, and roadie.drsteve.com. Very inexpensive gifts for the guitar and bass players and mandolin players in your life that they will absolutely love. And if you have an instrument and you don't know how to play it, they now have the Roadie Coach, and it'll teach you how to play. So Carissa, who has been on the show, has a Roadie Coach because they sent us a trial one, and she's learning to play the ukulele. Now, she promised that she would come in and play a duet with us, or a trio with us, whatever. She's going to do a song with us on the ukulele. And so I'm looking forward to that. She's never touched an instrument in her life. Nothing. Complete ineptitude when it comes to music. So check that out. Roadie, ROADIE.drsteve.com, or just go to stuff.drsteve.com and scroll down. You'll see the Roadie tuner. Check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. And then Tacie and I do a Patreon, patreon.com/weirdmedicine, which is loads of fun. It's exclusive content, stuff that you can't get anywhere else. And really, if you call in a question and for the Patreon show, 100% of those get answered, unlike the regular show where we're going back and listening to voicemails from 10 years ago or even longer sometimes. So, all right. Anything else? Oh, and Cameo. Let me do cameos for you. I love to do them. They're cheap. I'm the cheapest cameo on the platform. I would charge nothing if they would let me. It's just for fun. But all the money goes to a very worthy cause. It goes straight into my ham radio bank account that's in a different bank where, I'm going to buy my antenna and stuff to do moon bounce from. So very good, a very good cause.
Yeah.
To further the cause of ham radio. All right? You know what I was thinking, Tace? Is we should hunt down the old Ron and Fez bits where they used to do Dr. Steve's wife. Do you remember that? Because the first time you met Ron Bennington outside Bar 9, he gave you a ration of shit, and very good-natured, that was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And then he took it to the air, and you had Dr. Steve's racist wife, Dr. Steve's anti-Semitic wife, which, of course, Tacie is none of those things. And then we had the East Tennessee Ed thing, which is our friend Todd, who went on a blind date with Fez, but neither one of them knew it. And there was that whole thing, which the one time that I've heard Ron laugh uncontrollably was during the East Tennessee Ed thing. So I think that we need to dig that stuff up because that was fun. Those were early days. And
fun times.
Yeah. Before the whole joint Saturday night show that led to the downfall of our partnership. But that's a whole other story. I would tell that story too. So anyway, it would be loads of fun to do that because Tacie was kind of a topic of conversation for quite a while. Anyway, all right. That was then. This is now.
This is now.
Do you have topics for us today?
Of course I do.
It's Tacie's time of topics. A time for Tacie to discuss topics of the day. Not to be confused.
I think that's probably enough of an intro. The intro is going a little long. By the way, that is Carl Hamburger from WATP on the guitar doing the Harrison Young theme song, which he was challenged to do, and he rose to the challenge. He's quite a brilliant guitarist, despite what certain people say.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So, short-term exposure to air pollution can raise stroke risk.
What?
The risk of stroke increases by as much as 30% within 5 days of being exposed to air pollution.
What kind of air pollution?
Well, let me get to that.
Okay, there you go.
Researchers looked at 110 observational studies from around the world that noted when strokes happen and the concentrations of common pollutants in the air within 5 days, people having a stroke. It was a meta-analysis published in Neurology. Air pollution's impact on human health extends beyond the lung and eyes. It also involves the brain and cardiovascular system.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So what they did was, this is one of those studies like, does a full moon cause more babies to be born? Because they're the OBGYN people will tell you, oh, yeah, it's a full moon. You can sure tell it's full moon. We had a crazy night. It turns out that's actually a confirmation bias. That if they have a crazy night and they go out and they see a full moon, they'll go, yep, see? But any other night they have a crazy night. If they don't see a full moon, they don't think about it. And because they've done studies on it, and full moon's got nothing to do with any of that shit.
Isn't that wild?
Now, the term lunacy comes from the moon cycle, but it wasn't that kind of moon cycle. It was women's moon cycle, and lunacy was a way of trying to figure out what
egregious understatement
the hell caused PMS.
Come on, shitheads.
To explain PMS, because
Right.
it would come every 28 days on average, and the moon comes every 28 days. Everybody thought that the moon and PMS were somehow related, and hence the name lunacy. What they did the same thing with this was we have lots of data on air pollutant levels going back decades, and we have lots of data on stroke incidents. So you can just mush the two together and see if there is a correlation. You can't make a statement that there's causation involved. But what they found was it was short-term exposure to nitrogen dioxide was linked to 33% increased risk of death from stroke, which sounds as huge. But what were the absolute numbers? Did they give the absolute numbers in that, Tace? Because
Just 18 million cases of ischemic stroke.
Okay.
The most common type of stroke, which is caused by blood clot traveling to the brain.
Correct. So if 18,000 in a year. Is that what they're saying? That's the
18
incidence?
million cases.
18 million.
No, the meta-analysis included 18 million
Okay,
cases,
all
so they did not give a time period. Researchers found that the stroke risk was nearly 30% higher when people had been exposed to nitrogen dioxide up to 5 days prior. For carbon monoxide, the risk was 26% higher. For sulfur dioxide, 15% higher. And for ozone, 5% higher.
And of course, they are turning this around to make it a discussion of what?
Climate change?
Yep.
I believe that is bell-worthy.
Yeah, I believe it is.
No, that's...
Give thyself a bell.
You get the bell.
There you go.
But of course, it's turned around to be a discussion about climate change. Right?
Short-term exposure to nitrogen dioxide was linked to a 33% higher risk of dying from stroke. For sulfur dioxide, it was 60% higher.
What is the absolute numbers, though? I gotta be able to calculate the number needed to harm.
Well, tough shit. 'Cause it's not here.
Now I'm looking for the. Okay, I'm looking for the article itself. And while you're doing that, I'll see if I can crunch the numbers real quick. If I can't, I'll do it on a future show. But might be a good one for my medical journalism criticism show.
This I thought was very interesting. A new depression drug avoids unfortunate side effects.
Really?
That others have.
Is it called ketamine?
No, it's FDA approved, and it's a new drug. It's not out yet.
Okay.
It's created by the Houston-based drug maker Fabre Kramer. The drug will be the first and only approved antidepressant with a novel mechanism of action that selectively targets the serotonin 1A receptor.
Yeah, it's still serotonin, but anyway, yeah, okay.
Other types of antidepressant medication, you get sexual side effects and weight gain. The company said the most frequent side effects found in the trial involving 5,000 people were mild and brief periods of dizziness and nausea. And it's called EXXUA.
Is that the brand name or is that the
That's the
experimental
brand
name?
name. And it should be available in pharmacies by
EXXUA.
early 2024. I guess so.
Wow.
Now, the FDA did turn down these applications 3 times because of failed studies. So.
Yeah, that's a little concerning
Alarming,
to me.
yeah.
Decades-long regulatory odyssey ends with FDA nod for it can't be Fabre. Is it Fabre Kramer or something like that? Depression Med Exua. Why did they fail? Okay, it was rejected by the FDA twice. 3 times since the turn of the millennium, yeah. Yeah, it's the generic name of it is gepirone, Gepirone. And yeah, it selectively targets serotonin 1A receptor. Okay, so I like being more selective because what we're doing is we find a bunch of depressed people and we biopsy their brains and say, oh, well, there's more or less levels of serotonin in these patients' brains. So instead of targeting the actual circuits that are firing in a maladaptive way that make you depressed, and maybe it isn't maladaptive, maybe there's a survival benefit to it. We don't, it could be. Then we just dump buckets of serotonin into their brain with these reuptake inhibitors. So what happens is the neurons release serotonin, and instead of being brought back, those cells are very efficient. They recycle their neurotransmitters. So once they've sent the signal, then it's reabsorbed or there's reuptake of it, and then they can use it again. Well, this just stops the cells from retaking them up, hence the name reuptake inhibitor, and that causes a functional increase in whatever neurotransmitter you're talking about. So if it's an SSRI, that's selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, it'll just increase serotonin. Okay. If it's an SNRI, then it's serotonin and norepinephrine.
Gotcha.
So this is even more specific. It looks like it's targeting the receptor itself. It may stimulate it, which is, that's a different way of doing it. And it seems less like a sledgehammer, just throwing buckets of chemicals into somebody's brain. So we'll see.
Right on.
Yeah.
It also says that, I found this interesting, the number of Americans with major depressive disorder rose during COVID.
Yeah.
With about 30% of adults in the U.S. having it.
That's a huge number, isn't it?
It is.
I believe it.
I do too.
Being one of them myself.
So here is I'm just going to read a story and then just see what your thoughts are, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay. And by the way, I tried to crunch those numbers on that study. I can't get the full text, so I can't see the original data, and sometimes that's done on purpose, because it's way cooler to say 30% increase than it is to say, the risk is like 0.0001. So I'll try to get those numbers maybe and see if we can crunch them. At some point, I'll get the full text. We'll be able to do it. Anyway, go ahead, Tacie.
Okay, so this lady, Rita Conrad, was just saying goodbye to friends in a parking lot of a Mexican restaurant, but she began to feel fatigued and uncomfortable. She assumed it was late hour or maybe the enchiladas she had, but when she got home, she started feeling discomfort in her back, shoulders, and chest.
Okay.
It wasn't a sharp stabbing pain. It was more of an uncomfortable squeezing.
Correct.
Then the squeezing got worse, and she started dry heaving. Her husband wanted to take her to the ER. She insisted, I'm just tired, took an aspirin, laid down. Her symptoms eventually stopped. She was 51 and in good health, and then she was having an unusual type of heart attack called MINOCA that puzzles doctors and affects women more often than men.
Spell that.
MINOCA. It's myocardial infarction with non-obstructive coronary arteries.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's no blockages. So a lot of times doctors
they'll do a cath and it's like
home.
wide open.
Yeah, and there's another related condition called MINOCA, ischemia with non-obstructive coronary arteries. And it has the same symptoms, but it's usually without the heart attack. So it says it may account for 25 to 30% of all heart attacks in women. And a lot of times these patients are sent home because...
Because it's just some woman complaining,
and they don't know what it is, but it turns out.
I'm saying they're saying that. I'm not saying.
You, of course. Right. That'd be weird.
It turns out. Let me find this.
Well, see, these things are lumped in. We used to call it something different, but the one that I was familiar with were the Prince metal type causes of heart pain and heart attack, which is spasm of the coronary artery. And you can have spasm of the coronary artery without any blockage. If you have a little bit of blockage, it can turn it into a big blockage. Now they're saying this MINOCA can be caused by plaque that's there eroding rather than rupturing, or it could be the vasospasm. So this is sort of a broader category.
Yeah, and it's in the smaller vessels also.
Right.
It's where the plaque is.
That's right. They would be more vulnerable to this.
Yeah. And it says it could be due to hormones, hormone therapy, or the simple fact that women are physically smaller than men.
Yeah. Well, men can get Prinzmetal angina too, but you treat that with a calcium channel blocker, at least we used to back in the day. Anything that will keep those arteries from spasming.
So it's just something to look out for. I mean, if you're feeling it and if you're having these symptoms, you need to get it looked at.
Well,
even if your tests are clear.
It just goes to show you that you can do all the tests and everything shows you a certain thing and you can still be 100% wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I used to take people into a room when I was teaching at one of the medical schools. We had a classroom that was in the hospital. And I would have a patient that had something like, let's say, idiopathic hypertrophic subaortic stenosis, which is exactly. It's a form of reduced blood flow caused by enlargement of the heart. And it causes a characteristic murmur and everything that the students would go in and they would listen to this person's heart and I would tell them their symptoms. And then we'd go downstairs to the blackboard and I'd say, so characterize the murmur. Well, it goes up one, and then gets smaller again. So crescendo, decrescendo. Instead of it'd be like okay. So that's crescendo, decrescendo. And where did you hear it? Well, we heard it on the right sternal border, on the right side of the chest bone. And did it radiate anymore? Yeah, it radiated up into the neck, into the carotid arteries. And so we'd go through all this. What is it? And they'd say, well, it's aortic stenosis. We'd go all the way around. Aortic stenosis is caused by a calcified valve that causes narrowing. And it's all the same. Mm-hmm. It's all the same. And we would go through, everybody agree this is aortic stenosis? Yes. And then I could then make the big pronouncement, well, you're 100% wrong. Yes. So it just shows in medicine, all the evidence can point to something you could still be wrong. So you have to just always keep that in your head. That just because somebody isn't presenting in a textbook manner. For example, we love the calcium score. Mm-hmm. You go in and get a CT scan. They look at your heart and they can tell you how much calcium is in there, and they'll scale you on a scale from 0 to 10,000 or whatever, and anything over 400 that you're going to take a look at. Well, you can have a 0 and still have plaques in your heart that could cause a heart attack. They're just not calcified.
Yep.
So you look at that. Remember, those kinds of things are screening tests. They're not definitive tests.
Right.
So anyway, in this thing, this MINOCA that Tacie's talking about, which, by the way, you should get a bell.
Give thyself a bell.
It's a good one.
Oh, you
Well, it's stimulated.
down
We just killed, another 5 minutes talking about it. So anytime you do something like that, you're going to get a bell. They even cath these people and go, nope, totally normal. See you later, and that's the completely wrong thing to do. That's something. So.
Yeah, we had a friend like that a couple years ago that had a perfect everything. Went and had a
perfect everything.
He was perfect health, no medicines, no nothing. Had gone to his cardiologist, had normal EKG, just a normal kind of Was playing golf 2 days later.
Keeled over.
Just dropped dead.
That's the way to do it, though.
Yeah. He had a shot. He was the last one to hit his shot. His 4 or 5 guys he was playing with, they had all hit. He hit. Everybody turned and walked off, and they were all kind of about halfway down the fairway, and they're like, "Where's blank?" And poor thing, he was gone. He was on the tee box.
Wow.
He was gone.
Well, doing what you care about. Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah.
It's a surprise to everybody.
Oh, heck yeah.
I had a friend I was talking to yesterday, and he said that he had a family member that all they ever wanted to do was play golf at this one place. They played golf all over the place. It was like collecting stamps for some people.
Sure.
They were collecting golfing, and the pinnacle of their place that they wanted to play was this famous golf course. I don't know if it was Augusta or where it was. So they played, sat down. They gave the person, 2 fingers of whiskey, to enjoy at the 19th hole, and died right then and there.
Oh, goodness sakes.
So you know what? Not so bad.
No. Colonel Bruce Hampton, he did that.
Don't know who that is.
He's kind of the godfather of a lot of the jam band scene. Kind of the head.
It's one of Tacie's favorite
I love
people.
it when bands jam, man. It's awesome.
Anyway, I guess. Do I get
enough already?
I get to lose another bell, right? But no, he was playing. They were playing a concert like New Year's Eve, and he was with all of his, the Tedeschi Trucks band, and I think some of the guys from Widespread Panic, and they were all just jamming in this stage, and they got done, and he had a heart attack and died on the stage at the end of the show. At the very end of the show, just was gone. Isn't that crazy?
I wouldn't mind that.
No.
Except if it was one of our shows, I'd be pissed.
Oh, I'd be pissed.
Because Scott tried to do a damn solo.
I'd be like, hell, I've got to carry all this shit out of here by myself.
Yeah.
I don't know how to unplug all this shit.
Speaking of Scott, check out his website at simplyherbals.net.
Yes,
simplyherbals.net. I need to make a purchase myself of some CBD nasal spray. I use it every day.
Yep.
It's the best stuff in the world.
Today's episode is brought to you by Angie. Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs and projects done well. Let me tell you, there's the version of it where you try to do something at home, and then there's a version of it where you have someone help you, you watch them do it the right way, and you go, thank God I didn't try to do that myself. I have fully done things around the home that I think look good, and then a bang in the night, and I wake up to a shelf collapsing, a painting falling off the wall. I've seen it all go south. I own a home, and I can tell you, I know how much work it can take. Whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Whatever your home project, big or small, indoor or outdoor, you can Angie that and connect with skilled professionals to get the project done well. Right now, one of my wish lists is I want a bike for my condo in Milwaukee, and I would love to rig it up on a pulley in the ceiling because I have one of those lofted ceilings, but I'm so scared to try that on my own. Angie has 20 years of home experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
Hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of you relaxing, because now you're managing diabetes with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. You get to know your glucose levels and where it's headed. Manage your diabetes with more confidence with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. Ready to learn more about the #1 prescribed CGM in the U.S.? Visit freestylelibre.us to learn more. Based on retail sales data for patients' last filled prescription by manufacturer. Refer to the FLAIR NL4 study published in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care 2019. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
This episode is brought to you by AutoTrader. Look around. What do you see? Cars. Lots of them. And guess what? They're probably on AutoTrader. Whether you're into timeless classics or the latest trends, if you see it on the road, you can likely find it on AutoTrader. New, used, electric, and one day, maybe even flying cars. See a car? Find it on AutoTrader. Visit autotrader.com to learn more.
Why aren't you wearing setting spray? Avoid makeup meltdowns with Urban Decay's award-winning all-nighter setting spray. A quick spritz locks your look in for up to 16 hours. Rain or shine, workout or night out. It's waterproof and guarantees your makeup stays put, no matter how crazy your day gets. With over 50,000 five-star reviews, Urban Decay's all-nighter setting spray is the best of the best. Get your Try Me size at Sephora.
All right. Well, thank you, Tacie.
Good
Those
job,
were good.
Tacie.
Yep.
Bell freak.
Those are
you
good.
bell hoe.
All right. Now, up until recently.
Number one thing, don't take advice from some asshole on the radio.
Thank you, Ronnie B. What we've been doing is going back to 2014 and doing calls that we haven't done. And Tacie said, well, what about people that are calling in now? It's like we probably should do some of those. So I'm going to do these blind as well. I have not pre-screened these. If we have to stop recording so I can look something up, we will. But we'll try to do this old school. All right? So here you go.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
Hey, buddy.
Love you. Love the show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Long time, but first time in a while.
Hey, thanks, man.
Nice to hear your wife on the line, too.
Oh, that's nice.
Perianal abscess or thrombosis.
Yes.
Let's talk about them.
Okay.
They're fucked up.
Yeah.
Go to an urgent care and an RN doesn't know shit that's going on about them.
No. That is true. So if he has a perianal abscess, that is a surgical emergency and needs to be, and particularly if it's an ischiorectal fossa abscess, which takes up just about your whole ass.
Yeah.
And if you've got a hard, red, boiling hot, abscess in your ass, I'm not talking about like a zit.
Mm-mm.
This is fluid filled. Mm-hmm. Those things can move because the ass meat is juicy, and the pathways between the ass muscles is a great way for bacteria to move around. Mm-hmm. And I made the mistake once when I was very new. I had to get, of trying to drain one of those in my office and then sending the guy to the hospital because he was in so much pain.
Oh, wow, okay.
I got just buckets of pus out, but by the time he got to the hospital, he was septic and needed to have IV antibiotics, and it delayed his surgery. So don't do that. Let a professional do it. But anyway, let's
Sitting on one for 1,200 miles driving.
Oh,
that's
Jesus,
fun,
dude.
too.
Oh,
what
no.
the fuck? Do I need to go see a proctologist?
Yes. They're the ones that know how to deal with this.
Or, I don't know, my local GP was booked out for about 7 or 8 days, so I get to see the RN in the morning after I get home.
I'm guessing this guy is either an expatriate or lives in a place with socialized medicine, just given the accent. So.
This shit's fucking awful. I had a bit of a...
But even in socialized medicine countries, well, particularly there, emergency care is excellent, and it's free, and you can get in. And this is an emergency, if it's what I'm imagining.
Hard push on a who a few days ago, and it started from then.
Yeah.
I did my own WebMD research, but love to hear your thoughts on one.
Okay, so the other thing that this could be then is, rather than one of those big giant abscesses, is he could have a smaller abscess that is caused by this giant stool that he passed that caused irritation or even a small tear in the rectal wall that is now infected and working its way to the outside. And it'll eventually cause a perianal fistula. And now that's not necessarily a medical emergency, but a proctologist needs to
certainly
fix
can be
that.
pretty uncomfortable too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
To say the least.
You ever dealt with those?
Personally, yes. Not the complete fistula, but I have unfortunately had the opportunity to experience the abscesses and the rectal fissures.
Yeah.
But thankfully not the.
Now, did you ever have the tenon?
No.
Okay. Do you want to explain what that is? You know what it is, right?
When they run the wire through there and then pull it out the other side.
Yeah.
It's like a zip. It's like a zip tie.
It's like a zip tie. You can use zip ties. I think they use a thing that's like a zip tie. So what the surgeons wants to do is if you have a mature fistula line coming out of your ass, the ass meat.
Sure.
There will be a connection to the inside in the rectum somewhere.
Right.
So they want to take a wire and work it all the way up there very gently without poking into the tissue. You want to go through that tract.
Yeah, follow the tube.
Follow the tube all the way into the rectum, pull it back out. Now you can use that wire to drag something like a twist tie up in there. And when we say twist tie, they've got surgical stuff.
Sure.
But it's called a tenon. And you go in and then you tighten it up. And so you have this thing, just imagine, it's kind of hard to imagine. Like you have a twist tie, it's coming out of your anus, crossing over to where the hole is.
Right.
And then it dives into your ass, and you don't see it anymore, but it's going in to your ass and coming back out again inside your rectum. And then that's where the
Making
loop is.
the loop-de-loop, yep.
Oh,
and
wow.
and what you do is you keep tightening it.
Yeah, just a little at a time, like
Little bit at a
braces.
time.
Kind of
That's
like
right.
braces.
Yes, yes.
Like
Okay, there
braces.
you go.
Myself a bell.
1 to 75.
So you tighten it a little bit at a time, and what it does is it drags that fistula tract with it.
Right.
And it will heal up behind it. And so the fistula gets closer and closer and closer to the rectum until it becomes one with the rectum, and then you pull the thing through, and then you got to let it heal up. It's like having the worst rectal fissure in your imagination.
Yeah.
But that will get rid of the fistula, and once it heals up, then you're good as gold. Otherwise, they're really hard to get rid of because they're infected. You can't just go in there and just cut the fistula tract out because it'll still be infected, and you're just making a bigger one. So anyway, proctologists are awesome. Find a proctologist; they can take care of this. All right.
Yep.
Okay. Uh-oh.
No.
Dr. Steve.
Yes.
Terry.
That is, I'm going to guess that's Terry Boudreau. Let's see. I recognize the voice.
Otherwise known as the Bootmaster.
Yeah,
Hope
there you
everyone
go.
is
There you go.
well.
Give myself a bell.
I have a quick question. I was listening to one of your podcasts, and you talked about taurine.
Taurine.
My biggest question is whether or not it would have any issue with either my trileptal that I take or my epilepsy. Please let me know. Thanks very much, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Peace out.
Oh, taurine.
Taurine, yeah.
Taurine.
The supplement, yeah.
Okay, because a taurine is a loaf of force meat.
Yeah.
That's the definition of a taurine. Aspic, it's like pate. You cook it in a covered pottery mold.
Gross.
In a bain-marie, in other words, a steam bath, and it makes like bologna. It's like it's sort of like highfalutin bologna. You take a bunch of meat and spices and stuff and mush it up. And you stick it in there with some gelatin, and then you heat it up. And then when it comes out, it's like a loaf, and you can eat it. And it's not for me, but anyway. So taurine is what he's talking about. I tried taking taurine because it said there was an article that said it may be the fountain of youth, and I'm always looking for anti-aging
Helps
stuff.
with aging, right?
So I took 1,000 milligrams of taurine, and once.
Oh no!
Once, yeah.
Oh no!
And I thought I was going to crawl out of my skin.
Oh,
So
really?
it's the stuff that they put in energy drinks. I used to think, oh, well, this is, they just put that in there. Everybody puts it in there. It doesn't really mean anything. We should get Richard and Shatai on the show because there are energy drink experts on the research on taurine. Now, I wouldn't mind trying maybe 250 milligrams of taurine and then working my way up to 1,000, but I went to see my shrink that day, and I had taken the taurine, and back then I was still taking the modafinil every day, and I was almost manic. I was there's a thing called akathisia where people are you have sort of like body psychosis where they're just bouncing around the room, they can't sit still, and that's how I felt on that stuff. So now he's interested in taking the taurine. Does it interact with his trileptal? And taurine is an amino acid, right?
Yes. Yeah, all I know is it's a supplement that they've studied a lot for energy boosting and for brain.
Well, I guess it's not an amino acid. It's a proteinogenic aminosulfonic
Take
acid.
a bell away.
Yeah, I'm taking a bell away from
Dang
myself.
it.
And
Take
but
mine,
it
too.
occurs naturally in foods with protein and stuff like that. And we use taurine for movement in cells and things like that, and energy production. So that's why they start putting it in there. But I'd have to look and see taurine, drug interaction. There are a couple of programs online where you can put your drugs in, see if they're drug interaction with trileptal, he said, right?
Yep.
So we'll just look it up and see. I'm putting it into one of those systems right now and taking just a second. And I'm, okay, here, trileptal and taurine drug interactions, phase 4 clinical study. Wow. So drug interactions are reported among 21 people who take trileptal and taurine. Common interactions include insomnia. No shit. Oh, and the seizure among males. Okay. So a phase 4 clinical study analyzes what interactions people who take trileptal and taurine have. I think that you got to talk to your neurologist, before you do this. Now, taurine is in every energy drink out there almost. So if it was a big problem, you'd think that we would have heard about it already with trileptal, because lots of people are on trileptal. But in a situation like this where we've got 21 cases, some of them were people having seizures, talk to your neurologist before you get on anything. You got to be really careful if you've got a seizure disorder, particularly about medicine, over-the-counter stuff, because people think, well, if it's over-the-counter, it's totally safe. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Not so fast.
All these drugs have interactions, and they can have adverse effects and stuff like that. So, if you are driving, the last thing you want is to have a seizure, because in some states you lose your license for 8 months, others in 6 for 6 months, but you're going to lose some freedom if you have a breakthrough seizure. So again, just talk to your neurologist. Okay,
yep,
that's a good one.
That's a great one.
Terry, the Bood Master.
The Bood Master.
All right. Here's one for the podcast, if you will. This is what this says.
Hey, Dr. Steve, here's one for the podcast, if you will.
Yeah.
So, okay, we all know why we have to sleep, 7, 8, 9 hours per night, and how, it helps your brain and your body just sort of detoxify and rest and all that.
Yeah.
Do we know why a 10 or 20-minute nap is so good?
It's crazy.
Is there a scientific explanation? Because, sometimes I take a 10-minute nap and I feel like a new person,
Same.
like, say, 1 in the afternoon or something. So just wondering about that, if we have any real evidence. Okay, thank you.
No, there is evidence that it's helped some people, but there's not evidence as to why. We don't know why we sleep. We can characterize all these, circadian cycles, and we know melatonin's involved in there, and we know certain circuits shut off and other ones stay on. And, but we don't know why. Now, I have narcolepsy, and when I drive down the road, sometimes my brain tries to kill me and says, let's just go to sleep now while you're going 70 miles down a mountain highway. Totally fine. But if I pull over and then sleep, I will sleep really soundly, and I'll wake up going, oh, shit, am I driving? And then I feel like $1 million.
Yep.
So, it's crazy. There have been some studies that say that it can improve your memory, and that you may be able to do some executive functioning better if you take a nap. However, there's a downside to napping during the day, particularly if they're prolonged naps, and that's that it might affect your ability to sleep that night. So older people particularly are probably going to sleep 6 to 8 hours a day. And if they sleep 4 of them during the afternoon, then they're only going to get 4 of them at night, most likely, if they're lucky. So you got to be careful.
Set a timer, folks.
The apocryphal thing was that, what's his name? Edison would hold a pen in his hand. And then when he fell asleep, he would drop the pen and it would wake him up. And then he'd go back to work. So I do something like that. I hold my cell phone in my hand or whatever, particularly if I'm pulled over on the side of the road. Or, you can just set an alarm.
Yeah. I think alarm's a hell of a lot
15
safer than
minutes.
dropping your...
Tacie, you nap, right?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, yeah.
How long do you nap for?
Oh, I'm a long napper.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a 20-minute on the nose. I set my timer. I'm out.
Well, I got time.
Wake right up.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are retired.
Well, this thing here that I'm reading says nap as short as 10 minutes can be beneficial. I can attest to that.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Keep your nap to 30 minutes or less so you don't wake up feeling more tired.
No.
So you have this thing called sleep inertia. When you sleep for a long time, then you're just like, oh, God, I can't get up. You can feel groggy. And I always just imagine that's just whatever the sleep chemical is that's running around in your brain, keeping you unconscious, is just taking its sweet time washing out.
Yeah, probably so.
Anyway.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, I think naps. Is there anything better than like a Sunday afternoon nap on like a...
No. I wouldn't know.
Oh, God.
Honestly, I wouldn't know. I usually don't nap.
Your dogs pile on top of you and everybody just goes out.
Everybody's out.
But
Everybody's out.
If I fall
love
asleep in the parking lot, though,
Yeah.
and then I wake up, I feel great.
Oh, yeah, shoot, yeah.
It's what you need to do.
No, I do every Saturday and Sunday afternoon.
Well, good
as long as we get out of here on time. If not, I'd just take a nap in the middle of the show.
Good for you.
You guys wouldn't know. You wouldn't miss me.
Hey, Steve, it's Mike from New York.
Hey, Mike.
Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, man.
Understand from a few of your texts and tweets, actually, maybe trying some ketamine to help get yourself back in order.
Correct.
Give me an idea. I know you like double-blind placebos. My wife's been acting a little nutty, so I had a friend. I gave him some ketamine, and I tell him, don't tell me when you're doing it, and don't tell her. We don't need to know, double-blind. And so he drops it in her coffee now and again.
What?
How long should this go on before I report the results as if it's working or not? That's one part of the point. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Feel better.
Okay, wait a minute. So, here, where's... okay, I got to call the... hello, is this the Syracuse Police Department? I need to report a crime. Stop it, Mike.
Yeah, don't do that.
He's fucking with us.
He's just jiving you, man.
I hope so, anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
I-
Surely to goodness, Mike is just kidding us. He's a Josher, I'll tell you that. He likes to tell him some stories. He surely does. But I am taking ketamine prescribed by a physician for refractory depression. And I can't, it's really indicated for people who have depression that is not relieved with other means, or if people can't take the regular drugs.
Okay.
So SNRIs, SSRIs. Did we talk about this already? I know I talked about it on Bedabbler's show.
We've not gone into it much.
Okay.
We've not gone much.
Well, he
into
talked about
a little
dumping
bit of it,
buckets
yeah.
of serotonin into people, so people know what I'm talking about. So I can't take the SSRIs, SNRIs, and I couldn't take bupropion either, which is Wellbutrin, which is the one you'll usually put people on when they can't tolerate the other ones. And I'm not taking Xanax and stuff like that. I just don't need to be addicted to anything else. Because, I was habituated to Lunesta, which is Ambien's younger brother or sister. And I was taking 3 milligrams a day of that religiously. I was sleeping good, but I knew I was habituated to it. If I skipped a dose, I didn't sleep at all. So I weaned myself off of that. I went 3 and then 2 and then 1.5 and finally got myself off of it. So I'm just doing it au naturel now. But anyway, so the ketamine is really something. I'm doing the ultra low dose. I don't want to be tripping balls. That's not my goal.
Right.
But if they had psilocybin, I would do that instead. Because I think the data is just as good, if not better, for PTSD particularly, and that's a little bit of my problem.
Yep.
So, but psilocybin, thanks to Timothy Leary, and people get tired of hearing me complain about it, but the popularization of psychedelics in the 60s cut all the research off for at least about 40 years. nobody could get any funding.
No.
Because all they had in their head, because even the Democrats, Republicans, both were socially very conservative during the 60s, and then you have these quote-unquote dirty hippies tripping balls. Man.
No. Going around spreading love
I can
and
fly,
kindness.
man. Oh, yeah, God, don't spread love and kindness.
Don't do that.
Yeah, because they'll come after you for that
then
one.
you got to be tripping if you're doing those kind of things.
But anyway, people saw that, and they're like, well, we're not funding that shit. Hell no.
Right.
But it's coming back. Psilocybin is running behind ketamine, but ketamine's got some good data. Psilocybin's got great data. And as I talked about on Bedabbler's show today, psilocybin actually could be FDA approved, unlike marijuana. So marijuana can't be FDA approved because it's a plant. And it's, their rule is it's got to be a single drug, or if it's more than one, it's got to be a fixed percentage or fixed ratio, and it has to be consistent plus or minus a certain number of percent from pill to pill. Now, you can't do that with a plant or even a gummy bear that you've extracted from a plant. So the only THC that the federal government can approve is in synthesized form called dronabinol, which is delta-9 THC in pill form. It's sold as Marinol. We use it for chemo-associated nausea and vomiting, and we can use it for people who have lost their appetite and stuff like that too, because now it's generic. Insurance will pay for it. They wouldn't before. But that's it. For marijuana, you could pick out any of the other molecules, CBD. You can do it with that as long as it's cannabidiol. It's 100% cannabidiol at a fixed milligram amount. Then the FDA can approve it. So we use CBD for Dravet syndrome, which is a refractory seizures in children. Now, but marijuana itself you can't do. Psilocybin you can do. Because you go, well, mushrooms are a plant. Yes, but the active ingredient, there is muscarine in there and some other anticholinergic shit that we don't really care about. But the psilocybin is a single molecule that is synthesized, readily synthesizable in the lab, that they could put in a pill and say, here's 2.5 micrograms or 2.5 milligrams or whatever the dose is, do the studies. They can sell it.
Right on.
Yeah. And if they change one little molecule, they can patent it.
And then they can make money.
Yeah, and then make money off of it, which that's fine with me. If someone will just effing do it.
Yeah.
If they need to be incentivized by money, which is what makes the world go around, don't you know?
Oh, yeah.
Then, then let them go for it. But we're just now finally shedding ourselves of that imagery from the 60s. And it's mainly because all the old legislators from that time are all dead now. So most of us that did it back then are dead now. So. All right. I remember copping pot from a friend of mine in an alleyway behind this place where we could buy cigarettes. And he had Panama Red, which that's what they called it. It was just marijuana.
The red
it was kind of reddish.
Sinsemilla
Well, it wasn't
Mexico,
Sinsemilla back then. It was just sticks and leaves and seeds and stuff. And it was nickel bag was $5, and the lid they called a lid, which turns out to be about an ounce, was just what you could jam into a film canister lid. That's why they called it a lid. Anyway, so you had a nickel bag, a dime bag, and a lid. And so I bought a nickel bag because I had $5. And I remember telling this friend of mine, I was so nervous, I shoved the little baggie into my underpants. And I went, I don't know you, dude. And like, no, I do know you. I will see you tomorrow in class. So I'm really glad that things have changed so that, number one, the quality control is so much better.
Oh, yeah.
And that we're very close to getting a federal law that's going to legalize it. Did you hear that they just finally did a federal banking law that will allow dispensaries to use the banking system, even though a lot of places they are using it anyway. But now people will be able to just use their credit card or their debit card to pay, and they finally came to their senses on that. That's, of course,
agree,
getting the money flowing correctly was the number one thing that they had to do before they're going to actually legalize it, because they want to make sure they get their cut.
Mm-hmm.
Because doing it this way, they can keep track of it. When it's a cash business, it's a lot harder. So now they can make sure they get their taxes and all that stuff, which is fine. Tax it. Just make it legal.
Yeah.
Tax it like alcohol and get it out of the hands of the black market. So that people aren't tempted to put buprenorphine in their pot that they're selling on the street, because then it makes you more sleepy, because they have pot in the dispensary that makes you sleepy. I mean, that's why that's happening.
Yep.
So that's what I'm in favor of that. So I'm in favor of legalization. You should be able to grow your own, too.
Yes, you should be able to grow. And then you know what you got. It's like growing your own tomatoes or basil in your backyard.
That's right. It's
Right
just
on,
like
brother.
it.
Right on, brother.
I get kind of a high making fermented hot sauce.
Ooh.
Not an actual high, but I get a pleasure center release just from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Fermenting it and processing it and making it into something that people enjoy. And so I love it. And oh, by the way, nobody cares about this. So.
Can you please stop bullshitting?
But bumper crop of Tabasco peppers this year.
Ooh.
All right. Okie doke. All right. Let's see here. Okay, I'm not playing that one. Let's see. Good God.
Are we still back in 2014?
No, I'm in 2015, and I'm glad I never saw this one. This one is, I can't play it.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it's vile. Okay.
Yeah, don't do it.
All right, let's try this one.
Keep it clean.
This is one from June 14th, 2015. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Dr. Steve. I think I'm dying. I'm not sure.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
Oh, no. If you think you're dying, don't call here.
Don't call this.
In 2015.
We'll be the
I
judge
keep
of
on
that.
getting
Let's hear
these
this.
damn headaches. Very rarely in the front. Most of the time, they're in the back of my head, right at the bottom of my skull, in that damn soft spot where your spine meets your skull.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that's called back
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Am I going
Place
to have
with
a brain aneurysm
No.
or a
No.
tumor or something like that?
No.
That doesn't sound like
sure.
it.
I've tried to look it up. I can't find nothing. And no,
Well, it was 2015, and we didn't even have Google then. So you want to talk about these kinds of headaches?
I was going to say a lot of times what you'll get is
Oh, this guy's still alive.
Hey.
Oh, no, wait. Oh,
Oh,
I
no.
can't confirm that. I got a bunch of text messages from him about vaping, but that was February of 2015. So
we cannot confirm or deny it.
Real quick.
Real
You talk, and I'm
real
gonna text
quick
him.
when you start talking about headaches. Of course, new onset headaches are always a concern to have them worked up, but in most cases we can narrow them down to a few things. And what he's describing to me sounds a lot like a tension headache.
Sure does.
He's getting some.
Yeah,
he's getting a.
Give thyself a bell.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, and what he's talking about, the soft spot in the back is it's the occipital atlas ridge.
Ooh,
It's where
I'm not giving you another bell, but that's a good one.
it's where the skull and the spinal cord attach, and there are a whole lot of really tight muscles and tendons and ligaments and stuff in there, and it's to stabilize your head, so your head is not flopping around all the time.
Okay, he did text me just update a month after this about vape pens and stuff. So,
So let's hope it was a tension headache. And tension headaches can be resolved without medication, with proper therapy.
Correct.
Sometimes it's acupuncture, sometimes physical therapy, sometimes it's touch therapy, massage therapy, craniosacral therapies, osteopathic manipulations, chiropractic, etc. So these things a lot of times do not need to be treated medically with a pill. Yeah. There's a lot of intervention for those.
So hope you're okay.
Yeah, we hope so.
Anyway.
If not, send us a if the headaches are different.
Okay, here's one from June. No, that was too long. We don't have enough time. Let me see. Let's try this one. Okay. This is from June 15, 2015.
Hey, Dr. Steve. My name is Jason. I spent 20 years in the military and acquired a hydrocele on my testicles
Okay, thank you for your service, by the way.
while I was in. And just concerned, my question is, does this further along or does this actually cause testicular cancer, or can it cause testicular cancer?
Good, excellent question. So a hydrocele is a collection of fluid inside the scrotum, and if you take, we talked about this on the very first show, if you take a pen light and put it behind your scrotum, it will light up. If it's a hydrocele with clear fluid, and it will light up like E.T.'s finger. Those things are benign. They can, some urologists just leave them. Others, if it's really bothering you, can have it removed. It's not a big deal, but to my knowledge, there's no association between hydroceles and cancer of any kind. So I hope that sets your mind at ease 8 years later. Okay, very good. So before we get out of here, Scott, you had one from the fluid family, which, by the way, you can join. Follow my Twitter at Weird Medicine, and usually Saturdays at 1 o'clock or thereabouts, we record, and you can just hang out with us in the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@weirdmedicine. Anyway, what do you got?
Well, this is from Nonchalant Dawn, and he's wanting to know if it's normal to not sneeze when you've been on Suboxone. So evidently he's been on Suboxone for 2 years and hasn't sneezed in 2 years.
Okay, so Suboxone is buprenorphine, and it's a medication that the medication of choice for getting people off street opioids and maintaining them.
Right.
So that you can go to work and you just go to your Suboxone clinic once a month or whatever and pick up your supply.
Once a week.
And do your thing. Well, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on where you are.
Oh,
and,
that's true.
And then you can stay on it forever, or you can wean yourself off of that very slowly over time.
Oh, yeah.
So I advocate that when possible, to go to complete sobriety, but I understand that's not everybody's philosophy and not everybody can do it or wants to do it. So, but sneezing, now, all these things are antitussive in that they will decrease coughing.
And
But
suppress histaminic response.
Well, that
possibly that would keep you from sneezing.
Yes,
Possibly.
that's right.
Yeah, I would
so
think.
that may be it. If it's somehow stabilizing the mast cells that release histamine.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I'm not. Do you have any information in front of you on buprenorphine being antihistaminic?
No, but I can look it up. That was just my guess. Yeah. It would make sense.
I agree. So
Suboxone Suboxone is can be notoriously challenging to wean off of too.
Yes, but you can go as slow as you want to at that point.
Right. Yeah, I know some people take 1/4 of a pill, and that's keeps them comfortable.
Yeah, and some of that you get to the point where it's a placebo.
Incredible.
Is buprenorphine? Well, we could ask Echo while you're looking it up. Echo, is buprenorphine antihistaminic?
According to First Databank, antihistamine and buprenorphine are different drugs. Antihistamine is a brand name for diphenhydramine HCl, and buprenorphine is a generic drug.
Okay, Echo,
whose brand
stop.
name-
Shut up. God. Not even helpful
close.
in any way.
No.
Amazon has really got to get a large language model working with Alexa. I know they're worried that she's going to say something that they don't want her to say, but that's just not even useful. So I'm just looking right here on one particular sheet that is dealing with buprenorphine, and if I can get the stupid thing.
I can't find anything, Steve.
Okay, here we go. It just says before prescribing it, don't use it with antihistamines because it can cause increased drowsiness.
Sleepiness.
We knew that.
So I have no idea.
Yeah, we'll have to get back here.
Maybe he's just taking better care of himself, and he's not using street drugs, and he's not snorting things.
Now,
Maybe that's why he's not sneezing.
Drugs.com.
Okay.
They've got a little thread here with 3 answers, and people are talking about they had not sneezed while they were on Suboxone. As soon as they started coming off, as soon as he started coming off Suboxone, started sneezing.
So what do they? Did anybody give a hypothesis?
No.
Okay, I'm asking the AI.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll look up. We'll look it up.
It says here sneezing is a side effect of buprenorphine, so I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Maybe
that's very interesting.
Yeah, maybe just a weirdo.
Yeah, but
Hot, huh?
now the bells are starting to
the
wheels
alarms are going
are
off.
starting to turn in my head, trying to think of a novel way to treat perennial rhinitis with buprenorphine. But all right, I can't think of anything. All right. Okay, doke. Well, you got anything else?
Nope, I'll do her.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. We really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. And listen to our SiriusXM show on the Faction Talk channel. Best way to do it is on demand. If you have SiriusXM, you have an online account, just listen to it on demand. It really helps, even if you just play it and have it in the background. That really helps. Many thanks to our listeners, though, whose voicemail and topic ideas make this job very easy. Thanks for hanging out with us. Fluid family in the waiting room on YouTube. Go to our website at drsteve.com for schedules, podcasts, and other crap. Until next time, check your stupid nuts for lumps, quit smoking, get off your asses, get some exercise. We'll see you in 1 week for the next edition of Weird Medicine. Thanks.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Goodbye.